2 years ago, I bet everything on this line in the dirt. I moved a mountain of sand, I sculpted the terraces, and designed a system that's designed to capture every drop of rainwater that we possibly can. The goal? Build a desert forest. And 2 years later, I am standing in the middle of it. It's not perfect, it's nowhere near where I want it to be, but we're clearly on our way. The question is no longer, is it going to work? The question is, how well is this going to survive and thrive when I shut the irrigation off? Today I'm sharing with you all the dirty laundry, all the mistakes, we'll call them learning opportunities that I got to enjoy out here. This is how I'm making a desert forest. The most common criticism would be that you're in a desert for a reason, it's never going to work, you can't make it rain more, and they're right. I'm not going to be able to make it rain more. But what I can do, and I've done, is catch water from uphill and bring it from all over the ranch to this little spot. It's the system of earthworks. In order to do that successfully, you have to be very precise. So as a novice, there was something of a learning curve. The only outside input on this terrace was 3 cubic yards of cow manure. When I brought wood chips out to the property, they cost
$85 a cubic yard.
And that was just the purchase price. Including the fuel to haul that stuff out, I paid $135 to get the material out to the ranch. There's no world where I can scale the project ever at those prices. That's crazy town. What's worse is finding mulch was just as bad. A comment I see in almost every episode is, have you considered bringing out and then fill in your favorite thing? Chip drop wood chips, coffee grounds. I started bringing out spent mushroom blocks just because those are extremely high value. But a lot of the problem out here is just quantity. Ultimately, you're going to need a very large volume of organic matter to kickstart the system and build an island of fertility. And the key difference that made this all possible was the International 4300. I got a screaming deal on that thing, and there are some features that I wish it had, but that's one of the best equipment decisions I've made by far. The reason the International is so amazing is because normally I would require a CDL to be able to drive it, but because we have farm tags, we're exempt. And that means that we've got extreme hauling capacity without a lot of regulatory overhead. The main way I'm using it is to haul manure. When we towed with Daniel's truck, we could only fit 3 yards and we paid $135 a cubic yard. When we use the International, check this out.
It's flattened out a whole lot now.
Yeah, it's super compressed. You can see it.
When I first picked it up, it was above here.
Really? Oh my gosh. Daniel filled the dump trailer with 14 cubic yards, and by the time he bounced down 38 miles of dirt roads, it dropped to 8 cubic yards. So let's calculate the price. The only real price on that is fuel, and Daniel's not making special trips for the manure. He only brings it whenever he's coming to the ranch. The extra fuel bill is $15, $20. And because we get the horse manure for free from neighboring ranches, my only bill is the fuel bill, and that works out to $2 to $3 per cubic yard. Any source of manure that's kind of on the way, we make a stop every time and we bring it out here. Because we're already driving out here anyway, why not? It's that kind of volume that makes an enormous difference. We had an incident on the next terrace where we were prepping it with horse manure, and then the trailer got stuck, and
It might come out if you can move.
man, that is so compacted. That sounded like it went. I wasn't thrilled about leaving all the manure in that one spot. It turned into an accidental experiment that worked out amazing. I didn't expect it, but the viewers recognized it, that we had incredible green grass growing on the terrace without any irrigation whatsoever. Those are all native volunteers. And with that latest manure dump that Daniel put on my windbreak at camp, he kept the manure very concentrated. You can see it very clearly in the drone shots. We're going to see if we can repeat that success, getting native seeds or whatever seeds are in the horse manure to volunteer and grow. I need mulch. When we come out here with the dump trailer and the 4300, we only have room for one type of cargo. We have to think about what's the most valuable type. Is it wood chips or is it manure? In my brain, I'm thinking through the permaculture principles where what's the value of the wood chips? They're decent at mulching the soil surface, so you get a little more water and you get more microbial activity. What's the value of the horse manure? You hold much more water, it comes with free seeds, and it's loaded with microbes. So if I had to choose between a load of wood chips or a load of horse manure, and they're both free, based on my experience, the horse manure is the smart choice. My ultimate choice, if I could find it, would be spoiled hay. But as you can imagine, in a desert, it's not very humid and it certainly doesn't rain a lot. There's not spoiled hay to be had. I brought out 4 rectangular bales. That cost me $900, so was that $225 per bale? That's a lot of money. And it made a huge difference. They work really well, but it's hard to compete with free. So horse manure for now. I could have looked harder and probably found straw, but I think knowing how limited our trips are and that we do need to be here to do actual work, running the bulldozer and all the chores that need to happen, for now, I think manure is our focus, but let me know what you think. One critical detail if you want to grow things in the desert, you need water. And I started out by bringing all of my water 38 miles down a dirt road from Sierra Blanca, Texas, 250 gallons at a time. I don't recommend that as the strategy, but it made us be extremely judicious with the water. I was very fortunate that my neighbor Bill let me use his well, but we still couldn't just pump water all day long. That well, on a good day, yields 500 gallons. Sometimes we've been there and only gotten 100 gallons. In the thick of the worst drought category, there were times where we'd go to the well and only get barely 200 gallons. On this whole terrace, over the last 2 years, I've given it maybe 6,000 or 7,000 gallons of water total. We're not out here pouring everything by hand in buckets, but I think it's fair to say that is a very tight water budget. Bringing the water out here with the taco, I didn't get any of this on camera, but I destroyed the suspension towing at max capacity off-road on conditions like that. I tore the U-joint, we've replaced the struts twice. That poor machine has been used and abused, and now that I've permanently retired her from towing duty, it's going a lot better. She's not cherry. Me backing the bulldozer into the bumper, that didn't help either, but now that I've put her in a more appropriate role, truck's doing good. Now that we're able to use the 4300 for hauling the water, it's a non-issue, and especially with me cleaning up the roads, it's really not bad. One of the most important lessons I've learned out here is it's not the quantity of water that you put in the ground, it's the gallon hours. And I feel like I can't believe that this actually happened, but it was from understanding calculus that helped me understand the concept of gallon hours. That I want to integrate the area under the curve of time against the quantity of gallons in the soil so that I can maximize the number of hours that water is in the root zone available to plants. The primary and easiest way to do that is with mulch. When I had Tiago from Centropic Solutions out here, he drilled it into my head that this mulch is incredibly difficult to come by. It's very time consuming, and it's so important ultimately because it feeds the soil microbes, but really because it's gonna lock the water in place. And the tighter that I put the mulch in contact with the ground, the more gallon hours I'm gonna get out of the water. We recently had the remnants of Tropical Storm Alberto come through the ranch. Pretty significant rainfall in West Texas, but we had a spell of bad luck. So far, we only got 0.67 inches of rain, but what you can see here is the mulch working. It held moisture, all that water soaked right into the ground, but there wasn't enough runoff for my dirt bathtubs or the dams or the terraces to catch extra water. What you can see is that the ground is still wet, and the job of the mulch here is to keep it covered so that that moisture sticks around a little bit longer. Just a couple of days makes a big difference as these plants are getting started. And I'm happy to report that Brandon, a couple of days later, walked up and stuck his finger in the dirt in the mulch and verified that, yeah, the mulch really is holding moisture and it is humid when you stick your finger in. And of course, the nearby dirt, it was bone dry within half a day. Every day at Dustups starts the same. I get out of the sleeping bag, I slip my feet into the Sunday slippers, and I put on my glasses and I'm ready to go. That kind of routine is what keeps me motivated on a hard project like this, and it's because the more momentum I get going into the day, the better I feel. Putting slippers on your feet the first thing in the morning is just one of those little wins that you have total control over, that you can start making your day just a little bit better as you get into the chaos. Because I don't know about you, but with me, my planned day has usually run off the rails by 10 in the morning. Bombas makes excellent products. I wear their socks every day out here. I wear their merino wool shirt as an underlayer in the cold winter every day. The quality's off the charts. When you get yourself a pair of Sunday slippers, you're not just getting yourself a high quality product, you're giving it to somebody else. Bombas is a giving brand and they have over 4,000 giving partners all across the US. Go check them out, support the channel, start your day off on the right foot. I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself. Go to bombas.com/dustups and use the promotion code dustups20 to get 20% off of your first order. One aspect of the channel that I enjoy so much is that I'm documenting my journey for my own benefit. If nobody was watching this, there's no chance at all I would put up with running the cameras, let alone hiring editors and dealing with the storytelling. But since I'm doing that anyway to make this project possible, it is really nice to have a library and go back at what I was thinking and what I found. I find it really funny when I watch the geology segment of my understanding of how water moved through the ground 2 years ago. It wasn't wrong, it was just based on the wrong geology. But here's what I thought. But what's cool is I read the hydrology reports. Once this water is in the soil, it moves a foot a day. It is a lot. That's drastic for groundwater. Yeah. But going 0.7 miles, it's going to take 10 years for any underground water to leave my property. I don't know. I've been hitting clay pockets. I don't see any right here. I do have this type of soil that I mentioned in the episode. It's just not very deep. You don't have to go very far under these terraces to find clay. And just working a little bit down that way, building a beaver dam analog, I found a surprise. You know, Brandon, there's a lot of clay here too.
Yeah.
This is all clay. That's funny because I'd never noticed it before. And then I got a comment suggesting that I read the permaculture design manual, but most of the understanding really came from watching YouTube. I started watching a geology channel from Myron Cook. I didn't know that the episode was basically going to be about geology for Dustups, but it was exactly what I needed to watch, where he was explaining that these foothills leading into desert mountains are often formed of clay. And sure enough, as I built the mega swale, it's all clay. Combine that with the beaver dam analog experience where I've seen clay just 100 yards that way. I know under my feet deep enough, there's a very, very good material that can hold a lot of water. And it's the job of these trees to survive long enough to get down to the clay and for this terrace to catch enough water and send it to the clay that these things are going to survive and thrive when the next major drought arrives. It doesn't show on camera, but one of the anchor species here is prickly pear cactus. It's our living water bank that we're trying to establish because it's dependable mulch. It's probably an endophyte, which means that it shares water and nutrients with nearby plants and the soil microbes. And it's pretty easy to grow. But I've gone through this learning curve of how do you really get it going? I started, well, here's how I started.
This, okay, I open for this land,
Right.
this part. I take the cactus.
The prickly pear.
Yeah, prickly pear. I put here and take out.
Okay.
It's planted. Go to the other.
Right.
And we plant the seeds here.
Right.
And I gave here.
Okay.
I gave seeds. Okay.
Right.
That's it.
I need two, but for hobby because when we listen music and work together,
Yeah.
we have rhythm in the work.
Right. And what is full? This is Brazilian.
Yeah.
I love it.
I think it's better we selected the best plants to plant here. I saw many people to start a plantation in difficult areas and don't use the best materials. Plants not growing good, they lost the light in the eyes. So I think that we need to use the best plants that we have, the best conditions, and you continue.
It's in you feeling motivated.
Yes, yes, yes.
So what I've been doing is trying to plant the cactus like this.
Yes.
So that it catches the east sun, and then in the end of the day, when the west sun is really hot, it's landing flat on that cactus.
Yeah, this form we don't block the sun of morning to the seeds growing.
Right. But then over time, when they get bigger, then it'll be shading more and more in the middle.
We could.
Yeah. One wheelbarrow was enough almost for the entire line. I'll walk through here so you can see where I stopped, but we're gonna have so much extra. Here's the end. Look at that. Almost got the whole thing. That's the end of the first row. I'll have to check, see how long it took us. We got out here, I think exactly at 7 in the morning. Current time is 10:19, so it took us about 3.5 hours to do this line. And we've already got the second one mostly open, so you can go even faster. We almost had enough to finish, but not quite, so I got to take the wheelbarrow back to the trailer for one more trip. When this terrace was empty, it was literally sand and rocks. Zhu from Centropic Solutions came out and he showed me how to plant the cactus in a line. And even I was looking at it like, man, I can't believe that's actually going to work. And sure enough today, like we have cactus all up and down this place. As time has gone on, what you're seeing there took 2 years to grow. And what you're seeing at the shade wall, those were planted in May. It's currently December. The growth of those is pretty dramatic, but those started out with whole pads. I then took that a step further and bought commercial cultivars of prickly pear. And I'm not talking about vast quantities. They came as these little 2-inch squares that I was not even slightly optimistic about growing. And what you're looking at now, I planted those in the ground in August. So over time, by combining biochar and some hydrogel, we're now getting pretty dramatic growth rates out of the prickly pear cactus. And that's the next phase of my growth plan so that we have a very large supply of cactus in the near future. I'm turning to air pruning beds. Those same 2-inch squares that I didn't even know if they would work, we're gonna plant one of these beds only with prickly pear cuttings. That should give me a really large supply that I can establish on the windbreak or that I can take over to the mega swale and really get something going. The goal, whether it's trees or cactus, is to get my own supply going. Yeah, the trees, that's been a learning curve. I've been trying extraordinarily hard to get trees to grow from seed right where I want them. And we do have this nice line. These are all seed grown, but you notice they're all the same species. This is Parkinsonia aculeata. And these trees froze to the ground. But you can see, like this one is as tall as me. This is 6 feet tall. And we still have 2 months left to grow. If I get lucky, some of that wood will harden and deal with the freeze. And it is on the absolute edge in terms of what it can tolerate over the winter cold. The key insight that I've learned from this year is seeing all of this grass volunteer. I have never planted a grass seed here, and it is by far the thing that is volunteering the best and putting on the most biomass. The seed germination has been a real issue. I've been very blessed and also thankful to see that even though this isn't working in the way that I wanted it to, it's still working. Because by putting all this mulch down and getting some kind of vegetation going, what that's done is it's brought insects, and those insects are bringing birds, and those birds bring feces. And those feces are loaded with grass seeds. And now we were able to grow a decent amount of volunteer grass on this terrace, which I say a decent amount because the only seeds I put down were sorghum. Every other grass seed that's made it over here has been a volunteer. I have another idea that I really want to try, which is instead of worrying about trees, I want to grow what's probably one of the hardiest pioneers in the Chihuahuan Desert, which is globe mallow. It probably won't form enough of a canopy, but I'm hoping that by combining globe mallow with some other plants that it'll create a canopy, and we'll be able to put the tree seeds that we want under there and give them just enough moisture to germinate, because that was always the problem. Is I'm not losing trees to lack of moisture, I'm losing them because they don't even start. And I know that we kept a very, very close eye on these growing areas, and most of these trees never even gave themselves a shot at life. And it's because they didn't create the conditions where they wanted to grow. So we have a new strategy going into the spring. I've learned I'm not gonna put everything on the seed strategy. Where we've had our most success is with transplanting. Kit from Suburban Biology came out in March. He brought out Vitex, Lucana, and a couple other species, and that has worked out really well.
You got a free oak tree in here too.
All right,
I
what
don't think
kind?
that's gonna make it, but who knows, it might surprise me. Probably live oak.
Okay.
All these little hitchhiker plants are probably from cover crops that I put in the yard.
Ah.
And I let them grow, man.
Why not?
I feel like I've seen side by sides, the plants that have one often do better than the plants that don't.
Absolutely.
They must share microorganisms or something.
Yeah, that's why I want to plant the trees together, is
Yep.
they need their little community.
I hear you. It has like 50 names. Texas lilac, vitex, chaste tree. Apparently monks used to make tea out of the leaves because it's supposed to be an anti-aphrodisiac.
Anti-aphrodisiac. You don't hear that marketed very often.
Yeah, only to monks. And then in other cultures, it's an aphrodisiac.
All right.
And the lacebark elm, if they make it, become beasts. They're like 40 feet tall.
Oh my gosh, that would be, well, that would literally be a dream come true.
Yeah, it's a big if, but man, they are bulletproof in our climate. Again, the first year. You gotta love them the first year, but after that.
I forgot to grab the mesquite germinations. So after we dig and make a big mess, maybe that's actually better. Then I'll just come get that little two mesquite seeds in the ground. Yeah. Get its taproot going. But what's really worked out is the sitting area by camp, where we can super babysit everything There's something that I just did not internalize and I didn't get, because logically this spot is a quarter mile from my campsite. It's a 60-second drive. It's not hard to get here. What's the difference between whether I start here or at camp? I don't know how to explain why it's different, but it's different. I can just walk over there, and honestly, I don't have to motivate myself to get out of bed if it's 105 and go work in the sun for 2 hours. Because when I go to the sitting area and I forget tools or I need a drink of water, it's not a big deal. But here, and especially in the summer, there's no escape. And if you forget something, you're dropping what you're doing and driving back to camp and driving back here. It's not an enormous time penalty, but it's a morale penalty, and morale is everything. Now, those Groasis grow boxes are expensive. So in order to give myself the best shot with a transplanting strategy, I'm not just doing this direct seeding approach. I am going to seed in air pruning beds, which I haven't told that story yet. That'll be coming up in the spring whenever the trees decide to start. But I'm also going to make a significant investment in cuttings. I haven't done very well taking my own desert willow cuttings, but I think with a special variety of poplar called NM6 and the coyote willow that we just planted, I expect we're going to do well. The coyote willow, we had spare Groasis grow boxes and we put that by the cave hole. With the cuttings being on a drip line 10 yards away from camp, where we can make sure that we're keeping the moisture level very, very consistent and where we can mulch things properly, I think we can put some cuttings in place, give them just enough mulch to hang on, give them a lot of water, and that can provide the canopy if the seed strategy fails. There's been this whole learning curve of how do I make sure I'm successful, and it's in my bones to just do what I think is going to be required in order to succeed. And I've had to fight my own nature to just make sure that we're going to win. With the spring, that means I'm going to try my seed strategy. And at the very same time, I'm going to try the cutting strategy. And at the very same time, I'm going to try growing seeds in a nursery setting. I'm going to do everything possible to get the experience required to get trees going out here. I need my own supply. If I have to pay for nurseries to do all of this work for me, the numbers just don't work. Volunteers coming out with trees, it's nice. Miss Debbie donating some pomegranates for me, very nice. But I can't rely on that as being the linchpin of making this happen. In between the windbreak, I'm gonna have grassy areas just like I do up there. I wanna get the soil covered as fast as possible. Purslane, grass, forbs, shrubs, literally anything that wants to grow, I want it as fast as possible. It's a process, it's a learning curve. You just spent however long watching this video, seeing the learning curve. I'm nowhere near an expert. I've got so much more to learn, but my wife always gives me a hard time when I say I'm less dumb than when I started. So I won't use that phrase. I will say I am more experienced, and I figured out many different ways that haven't worked, and I look forward to continue learning on camera and bringing this knowledge to you all. I really appreciate the support. If you like what I'm doing here, you know it would really, really speed this up. A water well. It's such an obvious step, but I didn't really know what I was going to do with a well until I had a little momentum and experience. Now is the time. So for only 2 weeks, I'm offering a limited edition t-shirt with Dustups Ranch on it. I'm going to dedicate all of the proceeds to digging a well. It could cost up to $40,000. I don't think the t-shirts are going to cover anything close to that, but if you want to support Dustups, it'd be sincerely appreciated. It will go to the exact purpose while you watch the channel, and of course, make existing out here quite a bit easier. I think you'll find it entertaining and hilarious to go back and watch the first episode. I bought a wasteland to turn it into a desert forest. How far have I come since I started?